Who would win in a fight between a mongoose and a dinosaur? Which furfro trim is the best? What the hell kind of animal is Jigglypuff based on? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then you probably didn't understand them, but you may also be entitled to compensation, including and absolutely limited to the consumption of this video completely free of charge. Normal Pokemon are everywhere in France. In the grass, in the skies, in the walls. It's a real problem. And I'll be using them to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon X. My first encounter awaits on Route 2, and there's actually 4 possible options here, though for this playthrough, I'll only be able to use the first normal type I find on any given route. Here, it's Raccoon the Zigzagoon. Sorry, Pidgey fans, but you'll have to get your thrills from some other video. This channel's been Pidgey-free since '93.
Liar!
Besides, who needs Pidgey when we got Bird the Fletchling? Not enough excitement for ya? Well, what about Rabbit the Bunnelby from Route 3? Or Beaver the Bidoof from Route 22? Yeah, this is the type of quality team that you can only get in Kalos, baby. Though sadly, 2 of my 4 all-stars have to head to the box for the fight against the first gym leader, Viola. See, Pokemon X and Y are what some experts call easy games for stupid babies, which means that in order to make at least a Nuzlocke of these games feel challenging, we'll be using the anime rule. In other words, for all the gym leader fights, my party size will need to match that of my opponents. So since Viola only has 2 Pokemon, it's all up to Raccoon and Bird. You know, I think that would make for a pretty special TV show. Well, I don't think it'd be special at all. I think it'd be an ordinary show. Yeah! Bird needs just a few pecks to kill Surskit without taking any damage, but Vivian is another story. Thanks to the defense boost from Harden and consistent chip damage from the trapping move Infestation, I'm afraid Bird isn't long for this world. Or so I thought. Never doubt Bird, for there is nothing that he can't do. A turn away from death, he takes out Vivian to win the battle. Man, just imagine how much better life would be if birds were real. A brand new shiny gym badge means that it's time for more encounters, and oh, you hear that? It's the Beaver Beat. The universal sign for beavers to take their ultimate final forms and celebrate with dance. Bird would be joining his semi-aquatic friend in evolution, but sadly Fletchinder is not a normal type Pokemon, so tiny he shall stay. As I was saying before I was interrupted by the Beaver Beat, it's time for more encounters. Poodle the Furfro, Rabbit 2 the Whismer, and Goose the Zangoose all join our woodland animal squad. I try to catch a Kecleon, but Beaver lets her intrusive thoughts win. Sorry, not plural, her intrusive thought. Beaver is a special individual. Now, even though Snorlax does count as an eligible encounter, much like Bachelor contestants on Sex Week do with their individual rooms, I decide to forego this Taylor Frankly Paul ridiculous early game encounter to give some of our other normal types a chance to shine like the bright and beautiful burning balls of gas they are. On Route 9, I mount Rhyhorn and back that ass up until I encounter Liz the Helioptile. Common misconception, but Liz is actually short for lizard, not Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Don't believe the British propaganda. After all, you can't spell Elizabeth without L-I-E. There's also the potential to find a Kangaskhan in Glittering Cave, but since those maternal marsupials can be quite difficult to catch, I decide to hold off for now. Plus, we shouldn't need her to blast through Grant and his 2 prehistoric rock types. All we need is for Goose to fire off some rock smashes that kill Amara and cripple Tyrunt before Poodle comes in for the finishing blow. Good girl, Poodle. Good girl. How come you never say that to me? What, good girl? Yeah. Because you're a boy? And also that would be weird? I guess you're right, but I think my point is that sometimes it would be nice to feel like you respect— You know what else is nice? The ability to rip real graded cards online thanks to the sponsor of this video, Arena Club. I've been sponsored by Arena Club before, so we can keep this brief, as long as somebody doesn't interrupt me. You interrupted me! Arena Club is an online marketplace where you can buy digital packs of quality graded trading cards starting at just $25. But these aren't NFTs, these are real cards that you can hold in your real human hands. Any card you want for yourself you can have shipped directly to your house, like I did with my special illustration Venusaur EX. Top 5 Kanto starters for sure. But you can also choose to store your cards in your personal online showroom where you can trade and sell with other users, or you can just sell the card right back to Arena Club instead. And Arena Club is committed to transparency, which is really important to me. Cards are graded and come with cert verification numbers that you can use to look up that individual card. Plus, every slab pack gives you the exact odds of pulling different cards so that you can make an informed decision for yourself about whether each slab is worth your money. Not even the official Pokemon company gives you transparent hit rates. The Arena Club experience is a lot of fun, so if you decide that you'd like to give it a try, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card by heading to arenaclub.com/Flygon and popping in the code Flygon. As always, please know your own limits and be responsible when making purchases. Thanks so much to Arena Club for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to the challenge. In Geosenge Town, we run into Karina, who challenges me and my normal types to a fight against her 2 Lucarios. A seemingly troubling proposition, though things aren't quite as bad as they seem. We call that the reverse 2026.
Oh, I made myself sad.
See, Power Up Punch is Lucario's only fighting type move, and since Rabbit, who evolved by the way, can use Bulldoze for the 2-shot, there's not any real danger. Well, actually, I am worried that after the second Lucario's first Power Up Punch, a priority feint might be enough to kill Big Chungus, so just to be safe, I switch to Beaver, who's so blissfully unaware of the world around her that she completely ignores Lucario's boosted attack stat, allowing for a safe and easy KO with her own Bulldoze. So that's Karina defeated. It's a good thing that fighting types won't be an issue for the rest of the playthrough. What? Oh, right. I have to fight Karina again for the 3rd gym badge. Though at least we can get another encounter to help out with— Ah! Sorry. Staravia is just so intimidating. Now that Beaver knows Yawn, I also head back to Glittering Cave where I catch Kangaskhan with a classic 1-ball HG capture. I guess this is technically a kangaroo, though it's quite clear that Nintendo has never seen the cinematic masterpiece that is the wildly mismarketed Kangaroo Jack. That airplane bathroom scene went double platinum in the Flygon HG household.
Oh my god. Something doesn't smell right here. Look at it!
No, I'm looking.
You see, it's funny because poop. On Route 12, I catch Cow the Miltank, and here's a sentence that no one has ever uttered before. I was actually hoping for a Chatot.
Boring.
That foul-mouthed fowl would have made for a great addition to our squad as we face off against Karina's gym trainers, who can often be more challenging than the actual gym leader herself. I'm talking bulky throw with revenge, sturdy sock with counter, belly drum Hariyama, and even a powerful Heracross, though that one is simple enough for my flying type. All in all, my team does pull through thanks to some techs like Eviolite on Bird again, Fake Out from Kangaroo, and Poodle's Rocky Helmet combined with his Fur Coat ability that halves the damage of physical attacks. Still, this gauntlet around the roller rink is not without its fair share of close calls, but eventually we face off against the safety-conscious queen herself, armed with 2 birds and a Poodle. She'll never know what hit her. Karina sends out her lead Mienfoo, and Poodle gets to work by pumping out returns. They're not quite at full power. Like any self-respecting girl boss, Poodle's love has to be earned, but they are enough to burn all of Karina's healing items and get the KO with only a little bit of lost HP. The Masked Luchadora takes the field second, and you know what they say. You gotta fight fire with birds because birds don't melt. Unfortunately, even with the Intimidate and the Eviolite, Hawlucha's neutral flying press does a solid amount of damage, and our Aerial Ace does not. Well, technically, it does do more than Hawlucha's flying press, but since it's tragically not a two-shot, and we are slower, Bird again is in big trouble. Or is he? See, Hawlucha's second flying press will leave Bird again with a sliver, so if I go for Endeavor, I can bring her down into the red and then take the kill with a priority quick attack. It's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant! Except Hawlucha goes for a power-up punch, so Endeavor doesn't bring our foe low enough to be in range to a quick attack. Stupid pass, Flagon. This is a classic case of overcomplicating things. A second Aerial Ace would have done exactly what I needed it to do and even given me a chance to crit for the immediate KO. All around a boneheaded play, and now I'm gonna pay the price. On the switch to Poodle, my punishment is swift as a critical hit brings her down to an inch of her life, and our Rocky Helmet does the same to Hawlucha. I've got to switch again though, this time to the OG Bird, and thankfully, he barely survives to eat his Oranberry and flex dominance over Karina's Ace by taking the KO with a quick attack. But that still leaves our foe's Calvin Klein model, and with all three of my Pokemon knocking at death's door, things are looking bleak. I realize that I have exactly one out, and it's a long shot. I can roost with Bird to recover some HP and drop his flying typing so that Machoke's Rock Tomb only does neutral damage. With a bit of luck, this will be enough for him to want to go for Power-Up Punch instead of a Rock Tomb on the following turn, but it's not. So after doing some solid damage with a critical hit Aerial Ace, my sweet baby Bird gets crushed by Machoke's second Rock Tomb. And like so many great warriors before him, he becomes nothing but a memory that I will do my very best to honor. Bird's death means that Bird again can finish off Machoke with his own Aerial Ace, so we've won the battle, but the war rages on, and we have much to do before we can finally rest. From here, every breath we take, and every move we make, every bond we break, every step we take, it'll all be for Bird. The level cap may have barely squeaked up, but it is enough for Bird again to evolve into his final form. Now that is an intimidating Pokemon. He obviously shops at Hot Topic, and I'm not sure if I can think of anything scarier than being inside of a mall in 2026. And with Bird again's newfound power, there's very little that the Kailud City's Grass-type gym leader can do. Ramon might honestly be the most forgettable gym leader in the entire series. His Pokemon suck, and Blaine has already cornered the market on old bald weirdos. A pair of giant garden shears is not a substitute for a personality, and Weepinbell is not a viable challenge for the fourth gym leader in a game where at this point you are guaranteed to have a mega f***ing Lucario. Also, his name is Ramos, not Ramon, and he's the gym leader of Comarine City, not Kailud City. I lied to make a point, because be honest, you didn't notice. And hey, if you did, gold star for you. You can redeem your digital gold star using the QR code on screen now. In Lumio City, Prism Tower is back up and fully aglow in Parisian beauty, so I soon find myself facing off against Pajama Sam for badge number 5. Unfortunately for him, Big Chungus makes this gym fight just as trivial as the last. Without powerful electric-type attacks, his Pokemon pose little to no threat, and victory is ours faster than you can say Poppy picked a peck of pickled peppers. True story, by the way, she has many talents. Now, before leaving Lumio City for good, we've gotta do something important. Something I should have done a long time ago. Visit Frazier Furfro to give Poodle a haircut. French editor, please confirm that I pronounced that perfectly. Not to go on too long of a tangent here, when have I ever been known to do that? But if there was any doubt as to the completely underbaked nature of Pokemon X and Y, look no further than Furfro's 9 different trims, all of which are purely aesthetic. Why Furfro does not have a signature move that changes type and or effect based on its trim is one of life's greatest mysteries, but it's a completely wasted opportunity to give this Pokemon some type of niche, or like identity, or anything. And I have to imagine that if Furfro was released even a single generation later, things would have absolutely been different. All this to say, justice for Furfro. But with Poodle's new doodle, we find ourselves face to face with the Route 14 fight against Serena, well established to be my personal kryptonite for reasons I can't quite explain. In this playthrough though, I gave Serena the fighting type Chestnut as her starter since I reasoned that he would be the most dangerous for my normal type. types. But I was wrong, he doesn't even know a fighting type move. It's actually crazy how scary Delphox can be and how terrible Chestnut is by comparison. That quad flying type weakness is a hell of a drug. En route to Lavier City, Liz finally learns Volt Switch at level 40, so this is the perfect opportunity to evolve her with the Sunstone into the speedy and surprisingly powerful Helioptile. Also, not that it really matters much, but Rabbit 2 evolves into Exploud, which might be the first time in one of my videos that a Whismur has lived long enough to reach his full potential. FHG historians, please fact check that. Now, the 6th gym leader, Valerie, is a bit of a tricky nut to crack. Like one of those pistachios that's pretty much fully closed and you can't get your little fat fingers in there to weasel it open, so you have to just bite down on it like a savage Neanderthal desperate for an ounce of sustenance before the incoming harshness of winter wipes out half your tribe. None of my Pokemon resist her Pokemon Stab Fairy type moves, and Goose is our only one that can learn Poison Jab, which is the best chance at dealing super effective damage. Well, other than against Valerie's Mawile, whose secondary steel typing means that we can nail her with Kangaroo's super effective bulldozes. Leftovers recovery keeps us healthy enough such that when France's #1 sex pest, #2 sex pest, comes in, we're at nearly full HP and free to deal solid damage with returns, as Mr. Mime simply sets up Reflect and Valerie uses her 2 Hyper Potions. I switched to Goose on the last turn of Reflect so that she can take the kill with the Poison Jab, but she's already well below 50% as the powerful Sylveon comes out last for Valerie. So I swap out to Kangaroo, who can deal solid damage with Fake Out, before then bringing in Beaver, who's got Modest Bulk and a Citrus Berry to survive Sylveon's onslaught, such that we can put her to sleep with a Yawn and deal some minor damage with Surf. Hopefully that's enough for Goose to rip a barb-boosted Poison Jab. And it is. Badge number 6 is ours. Though I do have some devastating news. Turns out that Poodle loses her haircut when she goes in the box. What, so I gotta pay for a new haircut every time Poodle comes in and out of the box? That's some absolute bullshit. A clear scheme between the Collusion storage system and Frazier Furfro to drive up profits by increasing repeat business. The connection is undeniable as is, but I decided to dive deeper and expose this scam with hard evidence. See, in Lumio City, I went to the archives building and requested the filings for Furfro Finances LLC, the company behind Frazier Furfro. In these filings, I found that in addition to the current owners, another company called Cass Capital had a majority stake in Furfro Finances LLC. So I looked up Cass Capital and discovered that it's a private equity company with fingers in all sorts of different small businesses. Not just in Kalos, but in other regions of the Pokemon world as well. Lumicab, Boutique Couture, Rydal Cycles, Hotel Ionia, Delibird Presents, the list goes on and on. And who, pray tell, is the CEO and founder of Cass Capital? Why, it's none other than a man named Cassius, who just so happens to be in charge of maintaining the Pokemon storage system in Kalos. Boom. Case closed, it's textbook collusion. But that's not all, because I did a little more digging and discovered that Cass Capital is actually just a subsidiary of a much larger private equity company called Bill Stone Inc., owned by Bill and Steven Stone. And these guys don't just stop at buying small businesses. Their majority investments include damn near everything in the Pokemon world, from Silphco to the Battle Frontier to the various Pokemon leagues, and even to a company called United PokeCare that is solely responsible for the creation and maintenance of every single Pokemon Center in the world. 2 men control almost the entire world economy, opening up the potential for untold levels of corruption, and no one is doing anything about it. Unfortunately, I have more pressing issues of my own, so all I can do is send my findings to someone I trust and continue with my own journey. So after clearing through some extensive Team Flare bullshit and once again trouncing Serena's Delphoxless team, I'm tasked with facing off against the penultimate gym leader, Olympia. In a full display of her power, Liz disintegrates our foe's lead Sigilif with a super effective Thunderbolt. The same could be done to Slowking, but instead, I opt for a Parabolic Charge, such that on the following turn, I can take the KO with a Volt Switch, letting me freely bring in Kangaroo as Meowstic comes out last for Olympia. She outspeeds, so her Fake Out goes before ours, but it barely matters thanks to Leftovers recovery. Mamaroo also eats a Psychic like it's nothing, so after using Bulldoze for the speed advantage, all it takes are a few turns of Kangaroo chomping down on the kitty cat to win us the battle. Nikki would be proud. Of course, now, right on time, here comes Lysander to announce that Team Talonflare is gonna commit global genocide. Nice, man. Thanks for the heads up. What follows is the standard 3 nearly back-to-back-to-back fights with him. The first 2 of which are barely a passing thought, since Liz can pretty much solo Lysander's entire team. But the final showdown for all the marbles is a bit trickier, least of all because of his Mega Evolving Gyarados, and I really want those marbles. First is Mienshao, and since he sees a kill with high jump kick, we can just protect for massive crash damage such that our Thunderbolt now gets the KO. Then Pyroar comes out, so with a Volt Switch I can do really solid damage and safely shrug off a Fire Blast thanks to Beaver's secondary water typing. She also baits Hyper Voce, which grants a free switch back into Liz, who now gets the second KO with a second Thunderbolt. Then we of course zap Honchkrow dead, leaving just the Gyarados, who does of course Mega Evolve into the Water Dark type, thus preventing an easy KO. Instead, Volt Switch does another massive chunk, letting me bring in Bird again, who's immune to Earthquake, who shrugs off an Outrage, and can retaliate with a super effective close combat. Pretty simple stuff. The world is safe, at least from any non-private equity-based existential threats. So next stop is the Rival Bridge Gauntlet featuring Shauna and her Delphox. Though Shauna is no Serena, she's a transparent downgrade in every way. Kangaroo kills Delcatty, Bird again kills Goodra with a U-turn so that Rabbit is at full HP as Delphox hits the field, and then all he needs to do is shrug off a Psychic and rip 2 Bulldozes for the clean KO. And continuing down the steep rival pyramid of respect, next up is Tierno. Liz kills Talonflame, Bird again kills Staraptor, and Poodle of all creatures gets maybe her first late game KO by taking out Crawdont. Good girl, Poodle. Good girl. So finally, we have... Coconut Head. Somewhere Rob Pinkston is sitting on a gold mine of a lawsuit. Rabbit deletes his rodent cousin, Bird again brave birds the crap out of Florges, and then I learned that Misty Terrain actually does not prevent confusion in Gen 6. You'll learn something new every day. This makes things a little annoying because Aerodactyl also seems to forget that Supersonic only has 55% accuracy, but eventually Liz can switch back in and take the KO with her iconic Bolt of Thunder. Among Us jump scare. Now you may have noticed that we haven't actually gotten any new encounters since before the 3rd gym badge. This is because 1, normal types are very front-loaded when it comes to regional distribution, and B, because the normal types that have been available since defeating Karina are bad. Just what any self-respecting trainer needs, a Watchog encounter in the 7th gym split.
This is worthless.
But all that's about to change because in the winding woods of Route 20, I welcome a brand new teammate. Round Thing the Jigglypuff. A part fairy-type Pokemon has the potential to be very, very useful. Or stay in the box forever. That's the Jigglypuff special, but either way, Round Thing evolves into Wigglytuff. And here's a twist I bet you didn't see coming. Rabbit 2 not only joins the squad for the fight against Wolfric, but he's also my lead. How else am I gonna almost one-shot an Abomasnow with a quad-effective flamethrower? Now, you might think that this is an example of how cooked Exploud is as a Pokemon, but it's actually a good thing that we miss out on the KO, because it burns Wolfric's 2 Hyper Potions. And look, after the second one, Rabbit 2 actually high rolls for a clean KO. What can't he do? MVP, MVP, MVP. Oh, Cryogonal? Yeah, no thanks, we're out. Poodle's got this one, using a held Person Berry to shake off a Confuse Ray exactly as the hail stops, letting us rip a massive return on the following turn before Wolfric elects to set up another bout of hail. So with a U-turn, Cryogonal falls, and Beaver takes the field as Wolfric sends out his ace. The idea here is that Beaver completely ignores any curse boosts thanks to her unaware ability, all the while ripping moderately powerful surfs. It ain't the most efficient way to deal with Avalugg, but it's more than enough to get the job done, earning my hardworking animals the 8th and final gym badge. Best part of the game right here. Whee! So after some exceptionally flawless matchups against Serena and the various veteran trainers on Victory Road, we've made it to the Pokemon League. This is where Round Thing could put in some serious work, most notably against Drasna and her dragons, but at the same time, you kinda gotta dance with the ones that brought you. So Round Thing remains a bench warmer as my final team consists of Bird again, Rabbit, Beaver, Sweet Poodle, Kangaroo, and Liz. Let's see if they've got what it takes to honor Bird's sacrifice and make it to the end. Like with gym leader fights, the anime rule states that I'm only allowed to use 4 of my 6 Pokemon to match the teams of each member of the Elite Four, and I need to choose what my team will be in advance of said fight. For example, against Seabold, I choose Bird again, Kangaroo, Beaver, and Liz, though, we really only need Liz, cause she just kills all 4 of Seabold's water types with a single Thunderbolt apiece. Not the best argument for Pokemon battles as an art form, but all 3 of the other members of the Elite Four will be at least a little tougher. Wickstrom is my second opponent, and his lead Klefki can use a priority prankster Spikes before Rabbit gets the clean KO with a soft sand boosted Earthquake. Aegislash is second, and the plan is to use Protect to bait him into changing to his frailer Blade form so that we can get another clean kill with another Earthquake, but Wickstrom instead opts for a King Shield, which fails, meaning that I now need to risk Rabbit to a critical hit Sacred Sword since our attack doesn't kill Aegislash in his bulky shield form. So, Sacred Sword comes out, and Rabbit lives. A third Earthquake gets the KO and Probopass comes in. Unfortunately, he has Sturdy, so the Chubby Bunny's job is done. Kangaroo comes in on a Flash Cannon, uses Fake Out to break the aforementioned Sturdy, and then just barely gets the KO with an Earthquake of her own. Scizor is last, so after doing some chip with another Earthquake, I simply switch to Bird again and rip a massive Skyplate boosted Brave Bird for the KO. 2 down, 2 to go. So now it's time for Drasna, and without Round Thing, we don't have the best answers to her Dragon types. Or do we? See, Kangaroo can actually learn Outrage, and with a Draco Plate, it does do enough to one-shot Dragalge. But after that, Draudigon will come out and will be locked in. And since the Unnovan Curmudgeon is a bit bulkier, it's possible that our Outrage low rolls and he lives to rip a super effective Revenge, which, if it crits, will kill Mamaroo. But those are some pretty low odds, so we'll be fine. Outrage does indeed kill Dragalge, but well, the poison damage means that now Draudigon can get the KO even without a critical hit Revenge once you also factor in Rough Skin Chip. So Kangaroo really needs to get this kill. And thankfully she does. Altaria is next, and since we're confused from fatigue, I gotta switch out to Beaver, who proceeds to start ripping Ice Beams. Unfortunately, her skills lie more in the wood chewing sector than in the firing beams of ice sector, so we're gonna need 2 hits, and Altaria immediately connects with a Sing to delay our KO. Nevertheless, we eventually wake up and take the kill, leaving Drasna with just her Ace Noivern. But fortunately, Liz is just a skosh faster, and after coming in on a Dragon Pulse, we can rip the 2 Thunderbolts needed to get the KO. Sure, this risks a high roll critical hit, but I've learned to trust Liz with my life. Or with her life. She's never led me astray, and neither has Rabbit, who's my lead for the fight against the final member of the Elite Four, Malva. All he needs to do to deal with Pyroar is hit a Bulldoze for the speed advantage, and then an Earthquake for the kill. That brings in Talonflame though, and she's pretty scary. The problem is that I can't know if she's gonna use Brave Bird or Flare Blitz here. Brave Bird is a safe switch to Liz, and Flare Blitz is a safe switch to Beaver, but Beaver can also survive a Brave Bird, whereas Liz cannot survive a Flare Blitz. Our Dry Skin giveth and taketh away. So off to Beaver we go, and I win the coin toss as Talonflame does only a small amount of damage, made even smaller by Leftover's recovery. Protect gets us back even more HP on the next turn, and then, now that I'm properly baiting Brave Bird, I can switch to Liz, who is just barely fast enough to snipe down Malva's ace with a Thunderbolt. Torkoal comes in third, so Liz does the only thing she does other than click Thunderbolt to deal a solid amount of chip while also bringing in Beaver on a soft Earthquake. A Surf then adds another to Beaver's kill count, and all that remains is Chandelure, who does cause some minor annoyances with Confuse Ray, but eventually it's Rabbit who gets the final KO of the fight and of the Elite Four. Which means we've made it to another entry of this channel's greatest tradition, the Paper Puppet Showdown versus Diantha. These are so stupid and I love doing them so much. So in a world where Hollywood is getting flooded with AI slop, I humbly present to you the last true bastion of American cinema. Out of respect, please silence your cell phones for the duration of the film. Unless you're watching this on your cell phone. Then obviously don't do that. Diantha leads with Hawlucha, and unlike Karina's, this one is going down without a problem. A single Thunderbolt from Liz takes the KO, baiting in Goodra with Focus Blast. Or should I say Focus Miss, because after Volt switching out to Bird again, that's exactly what happens. So with a single Brave Bird, we demolish the friend-shaped Pseudo and bait in Diantha's head-smashing Tyrantrum. But this is a job for Poodle, who comes in via U-turn and uses his perfectly trimmed fur coat to shrug off the head smash like it's nothing. Well, not nothing, but it's still pretty impressive. And thanks to the damage from Recoil, Rocky Helmet, and another U-turn, Tyrantrum is almost at death's door as Rabbit comes in to tank Head Smash number 2. That Recoil leaves Tyrantrum with the tiniest of slivers, so Diantha heals, but it's fruitless. Rabbit's Earthquakes are enough for the 2-shot, forcing Diantha down to the back half of her team. Aurorus is next, and living up to Diantha's reputation of the franchise's softest champion by a country mile, she flubs both a Blizzard and a Thunder on Beaver, letting her take the KO with just a few Surfs at full HP. That means that the final Pokemon before our foe's Mega Evolving Ace is Gourgeist. So it's off to Bird again, who could easily take the kill with a Brave Bird. But I don't want to do that. Instead, I'm just gonna do a tiny bit of chip with U-turn to bring in Kangaroo on a Seed Bomb. Then I rip a super effective Shadow Claw, which is never enough to kill. And that's a good thing, because Gourgeist takes the opportunity to go for Trick or Treat, a move that gives Kangaroo a secondary Ghost typing, which now grants us the same type attack boost on our Shadow Claw. It obviously doesn't matter much for the Haunted Vegetable, we take that KO no problem. But guess who now has a guaranteed one-hit kill on Diantha's Mega Gardevoir? That's right, it's the Ghost-type Mamaroo. So with one last Shadow Claw, the bride-to-be goes down in one fell swoop, winning us not just the battle against Diantha, but the entire run. X and Y playthroughs are so much fun, even though these games have some pretty idiotic design choices, but the rich regional dex is certainly not one of them, and this challenge let me play with some Pokemon that I didn't even know were in Kalos. I was a huge fan of getting to use Kangaskhan especially. This might actually be the first time that's ever happened. FHG historians, back to the archives you go. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Or don't, I don't know, but stay tuned for more Nuzlocke content, and until then, remember to always, always, always play around the critical hit.